This is Dallas Cowboys Nation, and today I want to break down exactly what this moment means for the Dallas Cowboys. Because even though the Pro Bowl isn't the Super Bowl, nights like this still tell you something real about where your franchise stands, how your stars are viewed across the league, and what kind of identity is forming around this team heading into the next phase of the NFL calendar. And before we dive all the way in, make sure you subscribe to Dallas Cowboys Nation, leave a like, and drop a comment down below. Because this fan base is a heartbeat of America's team, and the Cowboys community deserves a place where the conversation stays sharp, passionate, and rooted in what's actually happening on the field. Now, let's talk about what we just saw. Dak Prescott stepping into Pro Bowl games and tossing 4 touchdown passes in a 66-52 NFC comeback. When, the AFC, that's not nothing. Prescott completed 11 of 13 passes for 169 yards with 2 touchdowns in each half. And from my perspective, it's another reminder of something I don't think gets talked about enough. Dak is at his best when the game is built around rhythm, timing, and trust. Yes, it's flag football. Yes, it's an exhibition. But when you watch Prescott operate in a wide-open environment like this, where the reads are fast and the ball has to come out clean, you see why he's remained the engine of the Cowboys offense for so long. The NFC has now won 4 straight years in this updated Pro Bowl format, and the headline is fun, but the deeper layer for Cowboys fans is this: Dak wasn't just present, he was the centerpiece. And that matters because the Dallas Cowboys have always been a franchise defined by stars. Not just a logo, the actual way to being a star in this league. From Roger Staubach commanding the huddle in the 1970s, to Troy Aikman delivering precision in the dynasty years of the 1990s, the Cowboys have always needed a quarterback who can carry more than just a playbook. He has to carry the brand. Dak Prescott, love him or criticize him, is still that guy for Dallas. And in my opinion, moments like this are small reflections of the respect he has across the NFC locker room. Now, let's bring in the other big Cowboys headline. CeeDee Lamb, 2 touchdowns, 80 receiving yards, and again, he looked like what he is, one of the most dominant receivers in football. What I see when I watch Lamb is a player who has completely stepped into that lineage of Cowboys wideouts. Michael Irvin wasn't called the playmaker for nothing. He defined swagger, toughness, and big game presence. CeeDee is different stylistically, smoother, more fluid, almost effortless, but the impact is the same. When the Cowboys need a play, he's a gravitational pull. Even in an all-star setting, even in flag football, defenses shade toward him instinctively. That's what happens when you're a true number one. And I thought it was especially interesting that Lamb was on the receiving end of a late touchdown from Jalen Hurts with 24 seconds left, because it shows how universal his game is. Any quarterback can plug into him and find production. That's elite. Now, another Cowboys name that deserves attention here is Jake Ferguson. 2 touchdown catches, 57 yards. From my perspective, Ferguson's continued emergence is one of the most important under-the-radar developments for Dallas moving forward. Because when you talk about Mike McCarthy's offensive system, the tight end is not just a safety valve, he's a structural piece. Dallas has tried to balance the run-pass identity for years. At their best, the Cowboys' offense is built on run-pass balance, play-action stress, and letting Dak work the middle of the field. A reliable tight end changes everything. If Ferguson becomes a consistent red zone weapon, it takes pressure off Lamb, it forces linebackers into conflict, and it gives Dak that big body target in tight spaces. And speaking of red zone spaces, let's put this into statistical context. In the 2025 regular season, Dallas improved its red zone touchdown rate from roughly 52% the year prior to closer to 58%. A meaningful jump that reflected better spacing concepts and more efficient play calling near the goal line. That's not just a number. That's the difference between field goals and touchdowns in January. And it's exactly why players like Ferguson matter. Now, zooming out, the Pro Bowl games are a spectacle, but the comeback arc in this one was wild. NFC jumped out 14-0. Then the AFC ripped off 32 straight points, including 2 safeties, a pick 6 from Jamar Chase, and even a touchdown catch from offensive lineman Garrett Bowles. It was chaos. But what stood out to me is that the NFC didn't fold. They responded with 24 straight points in the second half, and Prescott was at the center of that response. A 10-yard touchdown to George Pickens put the NFC up 60-52 with just over 6 minutes left, and Pickens was named Offensive MVP. But if you watch the flow of the game, Dak was a steady hand. Now, let's connect this back to Cowboys history, because that's what Dallas is. This is America's team. This franchise doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in legacy. AT&T Stadium isn't just a building. It's a modern cathedral for one of the most followed sports brands on earth. The star isn't just a logo. It's an expectation. The Cowboys are measured differently because the dynasty years still echo. Emmitt Smith running behind, that legendary offensive line. Aikman delivering strikes. Irvin turning third downs into statements. And every current Cowboys star is compared against that. So when Dak Prescott steps into a league-wide spotlight and looks comfortable, it matters, because Dallas is still chasing its next Super Bowl tradition moment. Now, let's bring in the tactical layer. Mike McCarthy's offense has often been at its best when it leans into timing-based concepts, layered route combinations, and letting Dak dictate tempo. The Cowboys have flirted with being overly aggressive, overly vertical. But in my opinion, their true identity comes when they marry the run game with efficient intermediate passing. That's where Dak thrives. That's where Lamb becomes unstoppable. That's where Ferguson becomes a matchup problem. And that's where Dallas can actually become a complete postseason offense. Now, defensively, the Cowboys conversation always circles back to one name, Micah Parsons. And even though Parsons wasn't the central story of this Pro Bowl game, his presence looms over everything Dallas is building, because Parsons represents the modern Cowboys defense. Pressure packages, chaos, speed. Dallas has become one of the league's most aggressive teams in terms of generating pressure without always needing a blitz. They disguise coverages behind it. They rotate safeties late. They force quarterbacks into rush decisions. And Parsons is the centerpiece of that. From my perspective, the Cowboys' ceiling is directly tied to whether their defense can consistently translate that pressure into playoff stops. Now, I want to bring in a couple voices around the league, because it's always interesting to hear how Dallas is viewed externally. One anonymous NFC East scout reportedly put like this: Dak's game has always been about timing. When Dallas protects him and keeps the offense balanced, he's as efficient as anyone in the conference. That's the truth. A Cowboys season ticket holder since the 1970s had a different emotional angle. I've seen Staubach, I've seen Aikman, and what I want is just to see this team finish the job again. Dak has the talent. This era needs its ring. And that's the heartbeat of fanbase. Then Hall of Fame analyst Pat McPherson offered this perspective. CeeDee Lamb is the closest thing Dallas has had to a true weekly takeover receiver since Irvin. He changed his coverage structures by himself. And that's exactly right. Now, let's not ignore the rivalries, because the Cowboys don't exist without them. The Eagles are always lurking, always physical, always a measuring stick. The Giants may be down, but history never disappears. Washington is rebuilding, but division games are division games. Dallas doesn't get to coast. Every year, the NFC East is a street fight, and that's why the Cowboys need their stars to not just shine in February exhibitions, but in December battles. Now, stepping back, this Pro Bowl moment isn't about crowning Dak Prescott as something new. It's about reinforcing what already is. He's still one of the defining quarterbacks of his franchise's era. CeeDee Lamb is still ascending into the league's elite. Jake Ferguson is becoming a legitimate weapon. Micah Parsons remains a defensive engine. And the Cowboys, as always, are standing at the intersection of legacy and expectation. From my perspective, the next step for Dallas isn't about talent. It's about translating talent into January truth. Because America's team isn't judged by Pro Bowl touchdowns. They're judged by Lombardi trophies. And the Cowboys fan base knows that better than anyone. So as we move forward into the offseason, into roster decisions, into another year of pressure and possibility, remember this: the star always draws the spotlight, and the Cowboys always live in it. This is Dallas Cowboys Nation, and the story is far from finished.